Hi, good morning. Kenneth here. Uh, this week we have an assignment on user-defined function and triggers. That is assignment 6.3. And the overview is here. You can go through and you read through. There are certain files we are supposed to download, like function with the fun with functions. You're also supposed to download the the data sets, which is sometimes we did behind, and we've already created a database on that. And this script is what we are going to use for questions and answers and writing the SQL statement. So the the instruction is here. We are supposed to produce 4 deliverable, the 2 minimum learning resource, user defined function, trigger, video. We're also supposed to have this script on the discussion board, then the response. So basically, let me go straight to my 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 scripts here, and these are functions. When you look at the instruction, we are supposed to, let me look for it. We are supposed to how to extract the first name from the contact name, then how to extract the last name from the contact name. So we are going to have a total of 8 scripts for the first name, then 8 for the last name. Then when you come to the triggers, we're going to have a 6 steps of creating triggers on to show which data has been affected or updated, and also a trigger that display who has made the update and at what time. So let's start with the first name. I have here my scripts. So the first one is fun with functions for the first name. So when I open the first step is we're supposed to ask a question. How do I extract the name from the contact field, which is not a big deal. That's a question. Then the second one is organizing the answer. Begin creating an answer that is first name is text before the first space. Then when we go to the third step, which is here, basically we are trying to select the contact name from the table here, then we display it. And basically when I run the script, it should be able to display this. That is the third step. Then the fourth step, we are supposed to research from Stack Overflow how to do this. And when you look at the statement here, it says contact name, which is here. Then we are using what they call char index function to have a space before the contact name, then a space -1 as the first name. Now we are going to create an ad hoc column to display only the first name. And you can see it here, but I can still rerun. Should be able to create this column with the first name only. You can look at here, Maria. This is the first name. That's the first step. Then another step is step 5. Okay. Step 5. Step 5, we are also still going to remember we use this function to generate this full name, which we saw in the last step. Now, here, what happened is we are creating or altering function, which is called this function get first name. This one is what they call user defined function to handle null or empty. So if full name is null, or this is counting the length. in the full name. If is equal to 0, then you return nothing. So when we run this, it is telling us that the command is completed successfully. We have just created a function somewhere there. Now when we go to the next step, which is step 6, now the function we created was user-defined function in the previous step. Now that same function we are trying to compare the adduct column we created before that function and this one, whether it will generate only the first name. So when I run this, we're supposed to have a matching tables in these two columns. That is step 6. Then step 7. Now we're going to use with CTE function. What we expect here we expect our column to produce 0 rows. Why? Here we are trying to check the distinct value in those two columns, which was created by adduct statement and user-defined function. So when I run this, it's supposed to get this, nothing, meaning all the value takes over the others and will remain with nothing. All the two columns have the matching rows, nothing less. That is what I expect from here. Now, the last step is just we are supposed to ask another question. How do we extract the last name from the contact name? This was just checking the columns we have in the data in the tables. So this last step takes us to the second step of a fun with the function while pulling the last name, not the first name. So all these steps are the same, like the first name we generated. You remember the first name is asking the question, second organizing answers, the third one we're checking the column called contact name for the data which is in, and you can see that's what we also did in the first name. Then step 4 is when we are supposed to take a research from this. So that step 4 is still the same as step 1, what we did. And you can realize here when you run this code, there's something wrong. But in a ran, so it's supposed to generate this. And when we go to the second step, which is step 5, this is the same step like first we did. Now basically this one will take us to triggers, because we're supposed to create a trigger that tell us when data is updated and updated by who. And here you can see how do we keep track of when customer record was last modified. That is the first step, nothing to do there. Second step, the same thing, we are organizing answer. So we have a third, need the trigger to replace this. So that is the second. Then the third step is when we select the top 5 records and we check what is in. And you can realize that because I've been trying, you realize that there are certain things here which has happened. Because I had first used it. Here we are confirming test weather and show columns that they exist, and these are the two columns, last modified and last modified by. Step 4 So this step we update last modified date for affected row. We're checking here, then log, raise the information error if there is something which has happened. Oops, something wrong. Oh, okay, ran some error. Yeah, so it has. So we have created those one, updated the last modified, then, but we're also preventing what they call nested recursion, which keeps bringing error when you run this trigger. So then the step 6. So here we are showing the initial state, but I've already run that. Then when we run this, what happened is change to an existing row. Then the last step here, we get this last modified date. This is the date you can see there. Then the last step is now heading to know who modified the data, which takes us to this fun with the triggers last modified by. So the first, second, the same thing with the fun with the trigger. Now, maybe to step 4, let me try to execute, and it's completed successfully. Step 5, it's supposed to give us who modified data, and you can see here. This, you realize that we updated this table. We set the country as a parameter, and we chose what? User ID, customer ID 2, which you can see here. It is Anna. Then here we just needed 10 what? We just needed 10 rows of data to check what happened where. So the second ID2 was affected, and who modified the data? It is this person. So basically, that is almost it about the assignment. So the last step is now how to capture application name as well as app name. So we have known this is the user and the app name is this, what I have used for modifying the data. And that is it about the assignment. Thank you for watching.